honestly.
Where was I?
We were in the greater, I don't know if you'd been to the gym or whatever, but it was kind of coming down Lavrock Bank.
Yes.
Going along that way, and I saw someone in a VW. I won't make the model known, but it's not a Polo. And I thought, that is Sue Lawrence that nearly took the side of my car off.
And Sue Lawrence does not look like an aggressive driver.
No,
she was. You
not
were.
Like me. I'm usually a very lovely driver and wave at people.
No, I'd come out and I thought, oh, right, okay, chill out. I was going to follow you for the laugh and cover the car in icing sugar and say, how dare you put yourself on a low light for 30 minutes? How are you?
Was it early in the morning? This is really weird.
It was kind of mid-morning. I'd been taking delivery of something.
Oh.
A passport.
Okay.
Lucky. Getting passport.
Oh, now listen, don't start because I had... No, well, you have, so we'll continue.
You started, so we'll finish.
It was funny because someone had put up this tweet and it was a picture of their passport and they were going, this is really upsetting and this is my youngest son's or my eldest son's passport and it's blue. And I said, in wake of everything, including war and the planet going to hell, if your son's able to go on holiday, going to get a grip. And then someone who shall remain nameless, Susie McCabe, had tweeted Nigel Farage saying we've no longer got freedom of movement because he'd said something about a passport. And I said, does your passport not work? I said, you should maybe take it back because I think you've been had. Oh, I'm so done with the whole thing.
I know.
It's a 10-week waiting list and all sorts of things.
But it's not 10 weeks at all. I got mine in 12 days.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
all right.
seriously.
How'd you manage that?
Oh, you know, Madonna. No, I did it all online. I got my photo taken in Ocean Terminal, sent the thing away, because my favourite post office is the one in Stockbridge.
Yes.
She's very nice, and it's clean, and it's well run.
Yes.
Not like some of the manky ones. I went to one in Pilton once, and quite honestly, I had to book into the Priory. Oh, my God. Have you ever driven through Pilton with the roof open for a laugh?
I don't. How can I take my roof off my Volkswagen?
Do you not have a sunroof?
I don't have a sunroof.
Oh, God.
It wasn't me, was it?
No, I have a sunroof.
Mm-hmm. He's got
I'm talking about me. No, it was you, Sue. I don't want to see the registration live.
Sue, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us on our podcast. I am delighted to meet the person that Mr. Bruce Devlin is obsessed with. He's obsessed with you. And I'm dying to know, I'm wanting to find out and get to the bottom of Sue.
Well, I was exposed to Sue. Well, first of all, we're Dundonians, which I didn't know that you were Dundonian until we met. We're from different parts of Dundee, because you're Baxter Park area. And I'm
part of my dad's family, yeah. My mum's family were more up towards Lochee and up that way.
Ah, right, okay. And then me and Sue, I've never mentioned it before, I was loosely involved in a television show called The Hour. And I remembered that me and the host 2003's Pop Idol winner, Michelle McManus, we were like, because I remember saying to her, I said, who's the woman that does the baking? She's absolutely fantastic, because I'd done your effing feckle tart at home, I'd done your lemon drizzle cake, and I'd done your cheese scones, which my mum... Oh, well, my mum's obsessed. She's like, scone. Oh, that woman. Do you say she's from Dundee? She doesn't sound as though she's from Dundee. I said, she's from Dundee, Mum. Well, her cheese scones are the best. So me and Michelle started calling each other Sue, and it was funny because I was speaking to the producer, because Sue Lawrence is Michelle McManus in my phone. So yeah, we're both Sue. So we're big Sue aficionados.
Yeah,
I know that. Yes,
we love the Sue. So we enjoy that, because not only are you known for your culinary stuff, but as you reminded me, Sue gave me her first novel, I think 5 years ago, and I'm such a slow reader, I've yet to finish it, just because of dyslexia. But you've had 5 since then.
Wow.
Yeah. On number 5 now, The Green Lady, that came out like a couple of months ago. Yeah.
And what got you into writing? I mean, you've written as a food person, haven't you? And you've done columns and stuff in the Scotsman.
Books and everything. And I just suddenly thought, I want something a bit different. And I thought a story. And that was why the Dundee one, which is your one. Master. I thought there must be some other...
The Night He Left.
What's that?
The Night He Left?
That's the one. Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, from 5 years ago, as you say. So I just wanted to see if I could make stuff up. Because when you do newspaper columns and when you do cookery books, you can't make stuff up. The recipes have to be exact. You can't go, it might be self-raising flour, it might be plain, you work out yourself. You have to be very precise. And I thought I wanted to be creative, but in a different way and make up stories. And I absolutely love writing fiction now.
That sounds great. But you're still involved with culinary delights.
Oh, yes. I mean, my last cookbook was, I think, about 2 years ago. I'm hopefully doing another one soon. But I suppose the everyday thing at the moment, apart from looking after grandchildren, is writing fiction. And I absolutely love doing it. Because there's a lot of research. So you've got to go all over the country to wherever you're writing about and do the research and then get down to it. But it's a craft. You've got to kind of learn it as well.
Because I was going to mention the grandchildren because you're a very devoted... And are you a granny or are you a grandma? Or
Nana. Granny.
Good. Yes, yes. Because I'm Kim Kardashian's mother. Because why wouldn't she be in this conversation? Kris Jenner. She's not called Gran. She's called Lovey.
Oh, of course.
Because she's had too many facelifts to be a granny. Because she's younger than her kids now. That's the thing. But
one of my friends called Zaza, which is very glamorous.
Zaza. Stephanie Beacham, the actress.
Oh, yes.
She's called Glamour.
Glamour.
Yeah.
That's clever. Very clever.
What I was going to say was, how involved in story time with the grandchildren are you? Because I was very involved in story time with my niece and nephew when they were wee.
100%. I mean, when they come to stay once a week and it's all, reading to them, but also I like making up stories.
Yes.
Which works really well until the parents, our daughter will sort of say, I'll keep her nameless. They've been saying at school that she's been lying a little bit. And I'm going, maybe because Granny enhances stories and it could be the same as lying, couldn't it? So one person's lying is another person's writing fiction.
Absolutely. A little bit of, embellishment. I think embellishment is a much better word than lying.
Yes. No, because I remember once that my brother had come back, him and his wife had come back, Kenneth and Jill, who are lovely people, but they're very conservative. And Katie always used to say, tell me about the rats, mice and hamsters. So I used to tell her about Lou Carpenter from Neighbours travelling around the world with a case of rats, mice and hamsters. And he used to set fire to people's houses. And Kenneth came in and went, can't tell him about rodents and fires and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, please, why are you people so pedestrian? It's pathetic. Because you need to encourage their little minds, don't you?
Absolutely. Yes. And yesterday I was doing baking with one of the other ones and... he wanted to fatten it down. And so I gave him a potato masher. And oh my goodness, watch a 3-year-old with a potato masher bashing a cake down. It's quite something.
I bet. And do you, in terms of, obviously when you were doing the hour and doing live demonstrations, do you still do things like that? Is there sort of food exhibitions or markets and things?
But it's not just meat. It's across the board because health and safety. We used to just breeze in with a wee, a little sort of ring cooker. No, of course you can't do any of that. And no one's allowed to taste because of health and safety. So what's the point in a way? They're looking at it going, drooling.
Yeah, but you can't actually feel or touch or taste.
I mean, unless they're, the big name chefs and they'll have all the expensive equipment and all the health and safety regulations. So there's no point in, smaller people, let's say, like me, even attempting stuff like that.
That's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Just that kind of food market, sort of that instant experience. Yeah, just, sort of craft people and, Yeah,
but the hoops they have to go through now. I mean, if you do it regularly, like at the food markets and the farmers' markets, they've got everything set in place. But for a one-off, it's very challenging.
But I think we're losing something by the not living by the risk of the occasional bit of food poisoning.
Yes.
I think.
Well, I don't think Sue has ever been attributed to food poisoning.
No,
so, I mean, I'm slightly upset.
That's all.
Allegedly. But one time I did put in a whole lot of salt instead of sugar in a cake and it rose beautifully and looked amazing. And then it suddenly sort of slumped down and it was a big, big fair, country living fair in London. And there was about 300 people in the audience. And of course, they weren't allowed to taste. And that was absolutely fine. That's just what happens. But then, of course, the crew, as you know, all come out with a fork ready. and they actually all went off almost to vomit backstage because a cake with 300 grams of salt is really, really, really not nice. But it looks the same. That was the worry.
Wow.
So you were the first, am I correct in thinking you were the first lady who won MasterChef?
No, second.
No, second lady.
It started in 90, and a woman called Joan, forgotten the second name. Anyway, a lovely woman. She won it. she won it then, and then I won the second year in 91.
See, it's just because you're always my first lady of cooking. That's why I always think of you in that way.
And that's actually quite interesting. So was that the first episode, the first series of MasterChef was won by a woman, and the second one was won by a woman?
Yes, absolutely.
But you were the first Scottish person to win.
Yes,
so
yes,
yeah, that's where I got befuddled. Yeah. How do you think then food and cooking and attitudes towards food and stuff has changed? Because it's changed immeasurably from back then.
Massively. Because, we were all travelling in those days, but there wasn't even quite the cheap travel that there is nowadays. You couldn't get $14.99 flight to somewhere or other. That was a bit later on. So I think everyone's sort of been to, Crete or to south of Spain or whatever and think, I want that paella or that lovely moussaka that's made in a different way. So attitudes are changing, and also availability. You can, on the whole, get an awful lot more things now, in not just in supermarkets, but in specialist shops. There's an awful lot more specialist shops selling Mexican food or Italian food or whatever, even Cypriot food or Polish food. So it's available now, and people are interested in cooking different things. Is it because there's more programs on telly about food? I don't know. Certainly, 1991. At that final of My MasterChef, there was 8 million people watching. That's extraordinary. Nowadays, that would never.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other things. There was 4 channels in those days, and so people were desperate to see things. And of course, now you can get it on catch up or whatever. So there was a real kind of a need, in a way, a hunger to watch something like that. So it's changed immensely. And
something like going on MasterChef, what was the experience like from what they showed versus what was the reality behind the scenes? Was it comparable, or was it a very different show than what you experienced?
It was quite similar. And of course, having sort of, cameras and microphones rammed in your faces when they just popped around to see you put some people off. But Jojo, you've got many kids as well. You know how it was like, chaos of kids at home. Mine were all quite small at the time. It was a delight for me to get away from it. Yeah. And something like a camera being thrust in your face, it didn't bother me because we're so used to being interrupted. So that, in a way, was an advantage, used to chaos at home with wee kids. But what you saw was pretty much how it was. Nowadays, it must be different because they must have to keep doing retakes of things when they're in these, the gorgeous restaurants, the really fancy restaurants they go to. They must, because I think more things must go wrong. And go wrong. With us, it was just, there's 3 tables and that was the studio and that was all there was, really.
That is interesting what you're saying about having kids, isn't it? You do just learn that skill and technique of being able to kind of block out noise or distractions because you just... I used to, with Gowan, a friend of mine, we set up a theatre company called One Handed Women because of that idea that you've always managing to do something with one hand and something with the other hand and just,
Right. Baby here.
Yeah, baby here and stirring,
on the phone. Exactly. Yeah.
Can I ask, going back to Lloyd Grossman, did you ever use one of his sauces?
Not at the time, obviously. I think I have recently because I think maybe I was sent them in the past.
All right, okay.
Yes. Are you going to ask me to say what are they like?
No. It's not that kind of thing.
Delicious.
But do you remember when heartburn? My favourite.
I like a Lloyd Grossman sauce.
Do you? Oh, he's lovely. Yeah. No, we'll get to him in a moment. Thanks. That's Jojo just reeking of basil. What I was going to say was, do you remember when Delia did her show and it was all shop-bought stuff? How much of your cooking is done from scratch, or would you ever use an Aunt Bessie's Yorkie?
Auntie Bessie's Yorkie, no, I probably wouldn't. But I do remember one Christmas where I was having everybody, from both sides of the families. And it was kids, and it was old people, and it was everybody. And one of my friends says, why don't you just buy Auntie Bessie's roast potatoes? I went, I can't do that. And I thought, do you know, I will do that. So I actually went and bought a whole lot, try them first. I said to my husband, is this okay? Yeah, nice. I'm not telling him either. So I took them all out of their wrappers and put them into big freezer bags, put them in my freezer, put some rosemary and other interesting things in, chuckled them around. And then prepare them as if normal. No one knew to this day.
But they do now.
I mean, how else can you do for 18 people?
No, exactly. And you've got to have little shortcuts.
No, exactly, because Nigella, who's someone that you've interviewed, you interviewed her at the Queen's Hall. How did that come about? Because that would have been very exciting.
It was fabulous. And as you know, you've seen on Twitter and all the rest of it, she is a lovely person. I'd met her before and I knew she was a lovely, warm person. She really is. So it wasn't difficult. As usual, behind amazingly famous people like that, it's the whole team that you've got to get through to. But she herself is fabulous. She's a warm, lovely person, quite shy. So in a way, doing something like that is quite a big deal because the Queen's Hall is a big venue. Yeah. But it was a delight. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting that she's quite shy, isn't it? The different personas that people present versus that's quite like comedy. Quite often you see these big personalities on stage, and yet backstage they're really awkward and and shy. And in terms exactly the same with comedy, there's other comics that I really admire and think that they're funny. I mean, Bruce isn't one of them, obviously.
No, clearly.
But who in your field of expertise, who do you really admire?
Well, I mean, going to be controversial here. I mean, Gordon Ramsay has always been very nice and very charming to me. I've never heard, from him to me a bad word. Mm-hmm. But obviously then you look at his stuff and they tell you, go, really, Gordon? Why are you doing that? Mm-hmm. But, I haven't met him personally for, many a long year. But I suppose people like Mary Berry, everyone loves Mary Berry, don't they? She's an absolute sweetheart.
She was in the Skrull and Scally on Sunday.
No.
Yes.
What was she doing there?
I think she was having her tea. It was honestly, because I follow them on Instagram, and I'd seen a photo, and I thought, is that yes? And had I known, I would have booked.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say I followed her in my car.
No.
Covered her in icing sugar.
No, I'm done with that. Yes, my fairy dust. My fairy dust. Do you watch? I enjoy watching cookery programs, particularly in the run up to Christmas. And my favourite one is, who's that woman? It's Jenny something or other, right? And she does the 12 Days of Christmas. And this woman's got dark hair. Actually, can you Google it? Jenny something. And she always loves when the cocktails come out. She's like, oh, that's absolutely delicious. And then the kind of food falls away. And she has some goose. Jenny, she's not a cook though. She's just, but is it Jenny or but do you, no.
Is it not Kirsty Whatnot? Is that what you just said?
No.
Is it not Kirsty?
No.
What's the difference between a chef and a cook? Why is there different terminologies?
Oh, chef is more professional. Professional and chef, cook at home. That's to me a very easy way of thinking about it. Yeah. Yeah.
So would you say in the same way that Delia says that we're home cooks, we're not chefs, are you a cook or are you a chef? Or because someone like Mark Greenway, I suppose, is a chef.
Yes, definitely. I'm definitely a cook. I've never been a chef. I mean, the title Masterchef came with that award. Mm-hmm. I've never, ever been anything apart from a cook. And a home cook, definitely. I would be lost in a kitchen. Completely lost. I mean, I've obviously had to go and cook in them at some time, but you need help. Everything's massive. So different. And they happen to have half a litre of veal jus or, 200 mils of sugar syrup for your ice cream in it. We don't have stuff like that. That's why we've got to say, and start from making your sugar syrup in a recipe. Yeah.
Because what were you brought up on? Because my mother was what you would call a good Scottish plain cook, in as much as the steak pie was homemade. It was homemade mince and tack. There was a lot of meat. Yeah. But the baking was outstanding. And you're really famed for your baking. I mean, I would say you were the go-to in Scotland. You're the benchmark as far as I'm concerned. So is this similarly to what you received at home?
Oh, definitely. And soup. Don't forget soup.
Yes.
There's a pot of soup there. When you think about it, all winter fine, but all summer, how does it not go off?
Yeah.
Because we did get hot days, even in Scotland in the summer. So I really don't understand how that didn't go off. And occasionally it would be added to, wouldn't it?
Yes.
So it would be like,
the leftovers would be bunged in.
Yes, like a sourdough starter. It would go on and on and on.
Jenny Barnett. Sorry, Jenny Barnett. Her name's Jenny Barnett.
Yes. I know what you mean. Yes.
Yeah.
So the soup, the baking, I mean, mums, like most Scottish people growing up, it was just the cake tins were always just full. people popped in. They don't do nowadays, do they? People popped in, and there's always something lovely homemade in the cake tin. It's just how it was. My mum's favourite was the sultana cake. I'm not sure if that's a Dundee thing or not. But
is that the because my mum makes a fruit loaf. She's hellishly keen on this fruit loaf thing, and it's a bit like one of those serene malt loaves. I mean, it makes me physically sick to be perfectly honest with you.
As well, but the sultana cake was looked like a Madeira, but with lots of sultanas to it, more sort of simple.
Right, right. And do you make Dundee cake? Because I
was about to say, no one in Dundee made Dundee cake, did they? Bruce?
And I've never had Dundee cake. Have you?
You must.
No, I haven't. I've had the marmalades. I've had my mum's past, but I've never had Dundee cake.
It's like fried Mars bar. Everybody assumes if you're Scottish, you've had a fried Mars bar.
Exactly.
And I've never had one.
With that, does that annoy you? Because that really annoys me about the reputation of Scottish food. That I think we have. Yes. I think we have wonderful cooks. I think we have wonderful chefs. I think we have really great restaurants all over Scotland. And yet, the kind of thing is, have you had a deep fried Mars bar, or do you have that? And it's
a bit of tablet or a bit of shortbread.
Well, a bit of tablet I can deal with a coffee. That's all right. My mum can't make it anymore. She's blamed Brexit because she doesn't have a thermometer.
Fillings on edge.
But it is the fact that why do you think that we're still, even though we've got some of the world's best produce, that people still associate us with fried sweet?
I think they're jealous now. I think
really
a lot of I think they're jealous. Yeah, because we always have. I mean, I remember even in the 90s speaking to some of the chefs then, that you have the best produce in the world. We didn't realise it, did we? We had no idea. And then the ridiculous nonsense of the deep fried Mars bar came in, and everyone kind of wanted to tag that on us because maybe their cooking was, maybe the French even, fabulous cooking. And I love France. I absolutely adore it. But, their sort of cooking has sort of stayed level, maybe gone down, who knows. Ours has definitely gone up. So maybe people are going, we'll just keep tagging them with that ridiculous deep fried Mars bar thing. I don't know. We're getting better. We're getting better, but there's too much convenience food and processed food.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your favourite dish to make, and which dish is easiest to make?
Oh, I do love Italian food. I love French food. I love making a risotto. It's something lovely and comforting about stirring, while sort of adding the stock gently to it. But anything pasta-like, I absolutely love soups. I absolutely love making soup because it's just such a comforting thing. I love making a savoury quiche or savoury tart with all sorts of fillings. At the moment, it's all about asparagus and lovely springy, summery veggies. Yeah.
Funnily enough, I mean, I'm not a particularly good cook. When I was married, my husband, he loved cooking. He did all the cooking. But the one thing I do absolutely love and I'm very good at
Blue cheese pasta,
but also a pot of soup. I love making a pot of soup.
I love soup.
Yes. And second day soup is always the best.
But everything second day is the best. Chili, curry, all that kind of stuff. That all seems to,
That's right. Any sort of stews or casseroles or anything, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we discussed this. You live in Edinburgh, and Edinburgh and Glasgow do have really burgeoning foodie scenes, don't they? So if you were able to pick one or two favourite restaurants in Edinburgh and one or two in Glasgow, I know that's really difficult.
That's hard. That is hard because it depends on your taste on the day because you could be more going for
one place in Edinburgh that I think is fantastic is the Walnut at the top of Leith Walk.
Yes.
It's really small, BYOB, which I'm always a fan of. But the food there is outstanding, and again, it's all local produce.
Yeah, well, and just opposite there, the little chart room. I think they've moved. I mean, she was always fantastic. I mean, it depends on your budget and what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you want. I mean, Café Saint-Honoré, Les Cargo Bleu, those sort of places, they never change.
Yeah.
Any of the Contini places, the Balmoral Crullers, the Contini, Scottish, etc. But it depends how much you want to spend, really. There's some good basic. I mean, just going to one of the lovely cafes where you get a good cheese scone and a plate of soup. That can be as delicious, as what.
That's actually in terms of expense. Sometimes you are just paying for the sort of maybe the service or the surroundings because not necessarily the food isn't necessarily that much more superior to a lovely cafe with a cheese scone.
The best lunch I think in Edinburgh is Chez Jules, and they apologise because they've now put their 3 courses up from a tenner to $11.90. But it's 3 courses, and it's a steak and chips and a French onion soup and a pudding. It's amazing.
Yes, we've done a Chez Jules.
I haven't been to Glasgow. Well, I've been once since lockdown, but to pals' houses. So that's at least 3 or 4 years ago since I've actually 3 years since I've eaten out in Glasgow. So I can't really comment. That's shocking, isn't it?
Would you?
The Crab Shack.
The Crab Shack. That's the place to go.
That was always fantastic.
David Beckham was here, I think, was it last year or whatever, and he'd gone to the Crab Shack.
Yeah, love that place. Good size as well, just really nice and buzzy, lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because a couple of homo pals of mine have went, and I went, oh, how apt. The home of the crabs. You guttural people. If you were approached, so like, I don't know, say STV, Children's Appeal or whatever, did a celebrity come dine with me variation, would you participate in it? No.
Oh, that was a very quick answer, Sue.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, maybe 20 years ago, I would have thought about it, but I still think I would have said no, because I did something, it was great. That's it. I do different things now. And, why would I want to prove that I could do it? And I don't think I could do it as well now, because people have got different concepts. I love, all the sort of the Thai food and all the Korean food, et cetera, et cetera. I love eating it. But I not necessarily able to cook all that because you need about 1 million ingredients. And so I might be up against somebody with those skills. I don't have those skills. And so, no, that's a definite no.
And are you ever called on to mentor other people, or are there other people that you help to kind of...
I have done that in the past, and it's a lovely thing to do, actually. I haven't done it for some time, but, sort of come to the house and do cooking together. And even when my kids went off to, left school, went to university and things, just this is your cooking course.
Yeah.
And, I sort of write down how to make proper stock and just simple things, and then my son leaves the stock pan on overnight and burns all the expensive pans also given him, that kind of thing. But it's worth trying.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Cooking aside, because you've been on the road with cooking, how different then is doing like a book tour or doing the book festivals? And is that something that you enjoy more now because it's newer? If you see what I mean.
It's brilliant. I just love it. Just going on and talking about any books, but even now this latest book, Green Lady, takes place in Aberdeenshire in a very, very old castle called Fyvie Castle. And even at that, I've done a couple of events, and they go, "Oh, could you take some baking along?" I'm thinking, are they also asking all the other? Are you also asking? These people. And of course I end up taking it, because why would I not? But it is different. But I've got a load of them coming up from Borders, Edinburgh, etc. A load of them, about to start. And I haven't been asked yet for baking. So I'm keeping that quiet.
Oh, right. Yes, keep that under your hat.
I'm sorry.
Under your apron.
Fyvie Castle, are they anything to do with the people that own Fyvies in Broughty Ferry? The boutique and the coffee shop? I
don't think so. Fyvie Castle's been like the 12th century.
Right.
And I don't think that Broughty Ferry Cafe's been there quite that long.
It just seems that with the cellophane in the window. It's a bit like, do you remember Sutherland's in the Nethergate in Dundee?
Yes.
Yes. The tartan shop that's no longer there. Are all your books, because obviously The Night He Left, that's Dundee based, this is Aberdeenshire, are they all set in Scotland?
Yes, so far. Before that, The Unreliable Death of Lady Grange, which came out just before lockdown, which is a bit sad. She's actually exiled to the Monarch Islands, which nobody's heard of, in the Inner Hebrides, and then she sent to St Kilda, which everyone has heard of.
Yeah.
So, but I love doing the research. I mean, I was only able to go up to Fyvie Castle for this one, The Green Lady, when I was. Remember, we had that little kind of gap, maybe about September in 2020. When we're allowed to leave our houses and go elsewhere. And I sort of said to them, I know you're not open, but please could I come and visit? And they let me come up socially distanced tour, just me. And it was special. It was amazing. It was like flying to the moon and back. It was great.
And would you be interested in transferring any of these into like TV or a film or a play?
Oh, this one I've already got on my cast. Got my cast.
Oh, wow.
Yvonne Redmond, Tilda Swinton, and... Oh, yeah.
Jojo Sutherland, Bruce Devlin.
Obviously.
Clearly.
Actually, Bruce, you'd be really good as my villain.
Oh, that's a yes from me.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm happy to be paid in cheese scones.
Yeah. You'd have to wear late 16th, early 17th century gear. Is that okay?
I've just seen that on
a bit of a ruffle.
I was talking about you having a ruff this morning.
Yes. No. I'm up for that. Will I need a pomander?
Absolutely.
All right. No, I'm there. I'm
You're
there.
on.
Yes.
You're on.
I love Siobhan Redmond. Did you go and see when she was in the prime of Miss Jean Brodie at the Lyceum?
Yes, and then she was Queen Mary at some other thing I've seen her in. I love her. And I've actually interviewed her for one of my other books, and she's also lovely. Absolutely fantastic. And it was her dad, because I think they're Aberdeenshire, who invented the term bappery, B-A-P-P-E-R-Y, to describe, well, it describes all kind of baking. You know, it wasn't just bappery, and it was everything to do with baking. I just love that word. Such a great sort of Scottish twist on, you know, on a baked product.
But I think that's the great thing for Scottish writers, because there are so many fantastic Scottish words which are incredibly descriptive.
Yes.
And you can probably hear the reader at home sounding it out phonetically.
That's
and
right.
Yeah, there's a wealth of words.
Yeah, I mean, stramash. What else? What could you say in English for stramash? Nothing. It's such a cool word.
I always think that Newcastle's word for a bap sounds like a Scottish word. Is it a stotty that they? Stotty. I always think that's a Scottish word that
that's
they
right.
use.
That's right. But the way the Geordies pronounce it, they say more like stotty. You know, and it's stotty cake, which is quite. But it's like a bread, but they call it stotty cake. Yeah. It's delicious.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely gorgeous. But I always think it's kind of.
I've had it stuffed with peas, pudding, and ham in the classic Geordie way. It's delicious.
Is that
really nice?
Is that a soup?
No.
Peas
pudding is like really thick, like Buster peas. You know, Dundee Buster peas.
Yeah.
Thick, mushy peas in England, and but really thick, and that's spread like a sort of pea hummus, but obviously it's not. And then thick, either ham or bacon on the top, and you eat it like a double layer of focaccia, stotty cake, delicious.
Do you think, just going back to food briefly, do you think that we've kind of disappeared up our own backsides and we're a wee bit pretentious with food nowadays?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah, definitely. I mean, but I think we now know that, because, you know, maybe 5 years ago, smashed avocado was the thing. Now we're going, why are you calling it smashed? Why don't you just say, you know, forks, you know, just avocado, call it avocado. We know what you're doing with it. So all that kind of stuff. And the same with potatoes. Were they not smashing potatoes? And that
smashing potatoes and pulling pork.
Yeah, I mean, really.
My mum was at my brother's for her Sunday, so they've been really good with her over lockdown, and she goes along twice, definitely a Sunday, but they mix it up during the week, I think, because otherwise...
Just to keep her on her toes.
Just to keep her on her toes, yeah. And she went, oh, it was marvellous. I had a burger, and it had that, yon stringy gammon. What do you call that? String? And I went, pulled pork. And she went, yes, that was it. But so, Mary, stringy gammon. Now, stovies. Stovies, because there are so many regional variations.
You're making me really hungry.
We have a Fifer in the room, and you're Dunkeld originally, Perthshire. But tell us what your stovies are, because I believe yours to be the real ones, Sue.
Well, first of all, the dripping. So if you've got a
beef dripping,
it's the white stuff. It's the white stuff at the top, and you're starting off with that. If you don't happen to have that, then you can use a mixture of butter and olive oil, but it's never going to cut the same. So dripping, we start with, and we're doing our onions long, and slow. And I like them in rings, because my mum did, but I don't know, you can chop them any way you want. Slow. Not until they're burned, just until they're soft and golden. Then the potatoes are coming in, as thinly cut as you can. And by this stage, you don't want to stir. You've got to start sugarling.
Okay.
Sugarling, technical term.
Sugarling, yes.
Sugarling, yes. For those who don't understand, it's shaking the pan with two hands, with now the lid on. Shake. And so that everything is cooking, but you're not mixing and bashing up the potatoes or crushing them, or whatever the expression might be. And then at this stage, you might need a little bit more liquid. So at this stage, you've got salt and pepper, obviously. You're going to put in all the lovely jellified juices under the white dripping. All those jelly bits, they go in. Shake. They're now melting into the stovies. Now at that stage, once that's all cooked through and you're testing with a tip of a knife, potatoes are soft, onions are soft, and everything is soft and ready. That, in theory, is, to my mind, the stovies are ready. And that's when you can add either a sprinkling of toasted oatmeal, some corned beef, some sausages, or whatever. But that's, to me, your basic stovie. Bruce, agree?
I completely agree. The one from Five likes instant mashed potato and cheap snags. Just disgusting.
Which is why we won't let you see
I
them.
completely. That's the way my mum made stovies, although she didn't slice, she cubed. So you would either have them on a bed of butcher's corned beef, or you would have roast beef.
Yes, leftover roast beef, exactly.
Lovely.
Yeah, I know, delicious. And maybe with a wee oatcake on the side.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
oatcakes are lovely with stovies.
Yes.
And I might being a Philistine here, but I like a little dash of Worcestershire sauce.
Oh, that would be delicious, actually. That would be nice.
Oh, I'm a purist, I shan't.
Yes.
Yes, I just want it as it comes
Like a
and
little bit of
lots of it.
Worcestershire.
Sue, thank you so much for joining us. And The Green Lady is available in shops now.
Absolutely.
All
Everywhere.
good
Yes.
booksellers and all that kind of
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
And people will find you on Amazon and
Yes, everywhere. Yeah, Amazon,
Lovely.
the lot. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck with all the tours and things that you're doing over the summer. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you. I'm off to try and find somebody that's made stovies.
Stovies. Yes.
Right now. Lovely.
Okay. Cheers, Sue.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.